is sensational for Cincinnati. Mitch Hildebrand, the hero, and the underdogs have prevailed once again.
I would like to present the USL Regular Season Championship to FC Cincinnati. Congratulations to the players, the staff, and most importantly, the fans on a record-breaking season. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your regular season champions, FC Cincinnati.
In a foot race, Cincinnati plays this across. Vasquez with the finish. Brandon Vasquez gives Cincinnati the 2-1 lead. A late breakdown by Red Bull.
Well, Dylan Nealis gets beaten, and nobody covers the streaking run. Unbelievable.
Barlow got under that. Oh! What a goal for FC Cincinnati! You couldn't dream that any better. Goal of the tournament. Maybe the history of the tournament. Alvaro Barlow makes it 2-0.
They have done it. Cincinnati, your 2023 Supporters Shield winners. A first trophy in their MLS era, and now they celebrate. Top of the Supporters Shield race since May. They never look back. And now a piece of silverware to show for it.
They've gone for the long-range efforts. My word! That is spectacular! That is a goal to savour for a lifetime! An I was there type goal! Look at Orishano with an iconic strike at TQL Stadium.
CF Montreal just go to sleep when the ball goes. His whistle dead, and Orishano just takes a peek, looks up, and doesn't even need to touch the ball. And how about this technique? Just absolutely perfect.
Lifted into the penalty area. That's Bauer, and that's Will. That's saved, and that's Surridge, and he still saves it on the line. What a 60 seconds for Roman Celentano.
A double save, and he knows everything about it as well. First the punch, but then he gets back to his line. That is sensational, because he goes.
The Flying Lion says,
boys, hell is real.
2023 Supporter Shield champs.
So glad that I can be back with people who know that it's a Flying Lion.
It shows how much we all love this club.
Yeah, just a fan of the sport, you know.
It's definitely tougher to be an academy player than it is a pro.
In this club, you don't play just for the club. You play for the club.
I'm here for the fans.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome back, everyone. Another live edition of the Flying Lion podcast here on a great week for FC Cincinnati. We kicked off the 2026 season with 2 dominant wins, Sam. How are we feeling tonight?
Yeah, buzzing. Obviously, we were waiting for the season to come back, and man, does it come back in a big way. 6 goals, 2 clean sheets. I mean, you couldn't ask for more. I mean, obviously you could ask for more goals, but I mean, I think honestly it turned out to be a pretty good week so far in FC Cincinnati land. And, you know, all the questions that came into the season, obviously we're 2 games in, but feels really good.
Yeah, definitely happy about it. Great start for the season for the boys. Didn't give up a single goal, you know, in the week, which is great as well. So we will cover a little bit just about briefly Champions Cup. If you guys missed it, we did a reaction video right after the match. I apologize. I was down in Mexico for that. I'm happy to be back in safe and sound in the U.S., but go check out that one if you guys want to get more of our insight on that match from Wednesday. We'll cover all match day number 1, you know, and everything that we saw and everything that came around that in the first part of the episode. Second half, we had some FC Cincinnati 2 news. We're going to get into our traditional jersey swaps, cards of the week. We do have a trivia question for you guys again, so stay tuned for the answer for that at the end. And then some news around the league, but we do have some new games coming up, Sam. We have a match midweek and then match day number 2 coming up next Saturday in Minnesota. So again, a lot to cover. Excited for this episode and just to be back. the MLS season's here. What a weekend it was, for all teams around the league. But Champions Cup, like we said, this past Wednesday, we did play down in the Dominican Republic. FC Cincinnati's third straight season in this, competition throughout North America, Central America. It's a big tournament to be in, and a dominant result for them. 4-0 win. We had an early goal by Barlow, Denkey, and then Jabbari had 2 at the end. Again, go check out our reaction video for that. But it seemed like, Sam, we came out healthy as we kind of now shift towards this match day 1 that we're going to cover.
Yeah, obviously, 4-0 victory against, a side that has been in great form. So taking advantage of that, feels good. Winning the games that you're supposed to win the way you're supposed to win them. Obviously, Pat saw some different things that we could have done better, but all in all, a 4-0 victory. I think you were feeling really good about that one, especially, coming into the season knowing that, hey, the fitness level out of these guys is the best it's ever been. And that's what Pat said. So we saw it. Ball was moving, and glad we could put four past O&M. But yeah, I mean, we play them again on Wednesday at home, so can't wait for that.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys about what this means and the preview for that match as we come up here. But match day number 1 in the MLS, Sam. The season was here. What a beautiful day it was, for soccer. An afternoon match at TQL. We were back. FC Cincinnati undefeated under Pat Noonan home openers, get a 2-0 victory against Atlanta United in this one. Earliest MLS calendar start for FCC. Obviously we did have the midweek match, but to have this game on the 21st, I thought that was kind of crazy. I had to go back and look at that. I had to check that twice. But kind of crazy, how long the season could potentially be. And then this calendar change that we're going to get, in 2027. Will it be as long of a season? Probably not as long. But going from February all the way to potentially December is the goal. It is pretty insane for the season.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think in the second half, I'm sure you probably felt it a little bit more. The temperature dropped pretty significantly going into that second half. And so I'm glad, a decent amount of people stuck around to see the final 2 goals in the second half. But yeah, Ryan, this is the last, time we'll see a February, December MLS season, which is kind of crazy, for 2026 and 2027 coming the new calendar, shortened season. We'll get a shortened season first, and then obviously the new calendar. So yeah, it's a little bittersweet, right? Like you're like, man, tough to see it go, kind of.
Not really, though. Not really. I don't know. I'm coming around to it more. But Sam, for this match, the tifo we had was a pretty good one, I would say. The Forge did a good job. All participation from the Bailey. If you want to load up this photo that we saw here, shout out to the person that took this photo. Actually, it was not me. I was sitting off to the side of it. But I believe this was maybe someone from WCPO that took this one. Nice photo of Gary here in the center with the light blue and then the darker blue as you kind of went out. Yeah, I thought solid overall. I love the participation from the Bailey. Still asking, to get one for the whole stadium to be involved for it. But what did you like about this tifo, Sam?
Yeah, obviously the thing that stands out is kind of the circle that it creates with the different blues. FC Cincinnati loves to play with their different blues. Season and after season, we get a different blue, it feels like. And so you get that, outward working into more of a lighter blue. But yeah, the Gary head is really cool in the middle there. Stands out. I like once again how you get crowd participation from everybody in the Bailey. Gets people involved rather than just the people putting up the rigging. So I always think that's really cool.
Yeah, and everyone did a good job with it. You see like the 1 or 2 people that didn't have their thing above their head there, and it stands out. So hopefully after this, they've learned to, maybe participate in the future a little bit more.
Pay attention.
Yeah, that's right. As we shift away from the tifo, I really am going to cover a little bit more of the pregame stuff later on in the episodes, to stay tuned to that. But Sam's, the new kits look pretty clean in person. I obviously first look for us and being at the unveiling, like definitely liked them. Seeing the players wear them and seeing it live, like definitely thought it was a nice look. seeing the orange, lettering and numbers on the back on the white wasn't as bad as, what we've seen in the past for some other ones, but I still don't understand the blue on the white socks. Like, I still feel they kind of missed the mark with that. Personally, it could have been maybe an orange on white just to keep it all kind of unified. But I mean, that's nitpicking there.
Yeah. I think I had tweeted out like the warm-ups, the white warm-ups with the orange shorts was elite. I mean, we looked real good coming out of the tunnel there. And so, yeah, obviously the new kits look good. I like the way they look on the pitch, and just happy to have orange shorts back. I think it gives us a pop on the field.
Yeah, no, I liked it. We're 1-0 in it, so gonna ride that until it's not good. But Sam, starting lineup wise, there was maybe some questions about what we'd see. I think, all in all, we pretty much nailed it based on our predictions. I think we had, Barlow being a starter in one and Jabbari in the other, and that's kind of what we ended up with. So Kévin Denkey, Jabbari up top. We had Evander in there for his short amount of time he was in. Giddey actually gets the start. Not a surprise after Obi goes, all 90 on Wednesday. Buka next to him. Back line of Ender, Hagglund, Miles Robinson as your captain, Hadebe, Ramirez out wide, and Roman Celentano. Good to see Ender, back in there. Unfortunately, wasn't able to travel down due to his visa right now and restrictions with Venezuelan players. Go back and check out a reaction to that. We talked about that a little bit before. But yeah, Sam, any thoughts about lineup wise? I think this is to be expected. Otherwise, maybe Obi, the other switch between Giddey, but everybody else, no real surprise there.
Yeah, obviously you get the midfield switch there and Giddey and Ryan. I think I feel like FC Cincinnati has the most underrated midfield in all of the MLS.
Okay.
Just based off of the ability to bring in Giddey and bring in, Anunga, Obi, like rotate those four guys with Buka, right? I mean, the quality doesn't fall off, very much, if at all, right? And you saw this in this match, but obviously last game, Jabbari gets a brace, so he deserved to get that start. You and I had called kind of that back and forth. Whoever starts one game will definitely start the other. And lo and behold, Barlow gets a goal and Jabbari get a goal. Yeah. So it's Jabbari that gets his number called. So nice to see him get the start. And then obviously, Hags in the back starting there because he didn't start against O&M. I believe Flores got the start, right?
Mm-hmm. And, Andre Cirillo on the other side. So
yes. Yeah. So, looked good. Strong lineup, I thought.
Yeah, the questions about Matt Miazga not being in the 18, Pat came out and basically said, didn't travel. He's down in the Dominican, that is, but was back in full training, as the team made it back to Cincinnati. They look forward to him being part of the full team. Wasn't a reason to put him in the 18, if he wasn't quite ready for first team minutes yet. Not listed in the injury report. Like, I don't know. He's kind of fringe between it, at this point, but I don't look into it really. I think that some point in the next week or two, I think Matt's going to be back in some capacity. So that's kind of answering that question there. But as we get into the match, first 10 minutes is really kind of a feeling out. Both teams not really having too much of a look at it. Maybe the one, argument I'd say is I believe Saba Lojanice for them has a nice look that Roman kind of puts wide early on in the match. So that was the only real chance. But then Evander's big injury, comes in the 12th or 13th minute. He does pull up going to the end line, but if you look at the replay, he's talking to the trainers and said, "When did you feel it?" I think he actually felt it, Sam. He was taking the defender on from midfield one-on-one. He does a step over, goes to his left, cuts down on like a driving run, and I think he feels it when he's running there. He continues on, makes his run to the end line, and that's where you see him kind of pull up. I think he actually does it. He actually says it. I could see him mouth it. I think it happened on the play before, actually. And he felt it then. The final run is where he was like, ooh, it really tightened up. And to me, you see him grab behind his knee, like, got to think about hamstring right away. He's going from such a hot climate for the past month to such a cold environment. These guys are at risk of, hamstring, calf stuff. We've seen players early on in the season have this sort of thing. But hope it is just a tightness issue. He's getting an MRI or had one today. It sounded like from Pat Noonan. So we'll see what that looks like. But you never want your number 10 MVP candidate, coming off 13 minutes into the season Definitely the most Cincinnati thing ever, but yeah.
Yeah, no, from obviously I was watching on Apple TV, but from what I could tell, the air kind of just came out of the building. When he went down, and so all eyes were kind of on him. Like, is he gonna get up? Like, is he like okay? So obviously thanks to the broadcast team for being able to give us an update at halftime of like, it is his hamstring tightness. So obviously something you got to watch going forward, because cold matches are everything coming up pretty much, this weekend for Saturday. So yeah,
you don't want hamstring injuries to linger. Like, that's the
no,
problem.
yeah, exactly. You want to take care of it, get as much rest as possible.
100%. And even if he's got, a low grade thing going on, why risk it early on? You have so many matches. You have CONCACAF Champions Cup. You have early beginning of the season. You only have so many games before World Cup break. And if he can get it right early on and let it heal, then you have, maybe a better Evander, and you don't want him playing on this injury the whole season. So I don't blame him for, grabbing at it and saying, maybe I shouldn't go on this, based on what I was feeling. It is unfortunate he doesn't even, run or try to warm up at all after it. But you're right. The air gets taken out of the stadium. I think the team a little bit is a little shook up for the next 10, 15 minutes after. But in some ways, that's why you keep Dotto, Sam. We really had questions about, would Dotto stay? Is he getting, the best look, somewhere else, or are we getting the best offer, I guess, for him? Should we move him on? But there's situations like this where he can come in and it's almost a seamless transition, because it's a lot of the same players from last year. So it's not like a new player is coming in. Yeah, he didn't get a lot of chances towards the end of the season, but play the kid, see what he can do, and he comes in and does a half decent job. I think that, the next situation we're going to talk about is a chance that kind of comes up with him in the box.
Yeah, so 56 minute, Denkey gets the 1v1. And so this is Atlanta was trying to clear the ball, and it kind of just goes off of Dotto. He kind of blocks the pass and falls right to Denkey, and he's able to put a shot on goal. Unfortunately, hits the right post, but definitely a chance that you got to finish as a number 9. Don't you think? I mean, it was.
I'm sitting there like standing up because I think it's going in, and it hits the side post, and you're like, this is our number 9, our $16 million player, and he one-on-one with the keeper. Like, okay, the guy slips a little bit, I think, when he shoots it, but place it around the keeper, pass it. Literally all you have to do is pass it, just right around him. Open up your hips, and it's unfortunate, but if there's one thing we've learned about Denkey, like, he goes on some stretches where he really scores, like we've seen in preseason. He doesn't, knock on wood, kind of go on, terrible droughts, I would say. And for a striker, that's a good thing. So he's hungry, and he really fought his way for his other goals. So credit to him for getting that out of his head. Because I think if that lingers on to another match or two, you're talking maybe about a striker that's in a little less confidence moving forward. But we're talking about Kévin Denkey. We're not talking about, Corey Baird or Kai Kamara. So I didn't have really a doubt in my mind. You texted me right away and was like, he'll get one. He'll get a late winner. And you're right. So we do see Miles with a chance prior to the Denkey goal, 67th minute. I think it was off of a corner. The ball gets kind of bopped around, and Miles goes around the keeper, plays it. Guy clears it off the line for Atlanta. Close, but would have been sick to see Miles put one away. I would have loved that.
Oh yeah, against his former squad again, back-to-back seasons. I think that would have been awesome. But yeah, obviously, once again, FC Cincinnati just trying to get something on target. And we've had chances, right? Those are 2 crucial chances, starting the second half there. And luckily we continue to build on it. And Kévin Denkey, gets a goal here in the 80th minute. Kudos to, first off, Dotto, and then Giddey. Dotto getting the ball to Giddey, and then Giddey finding that outlet pass to Ender, like, very quickly out wide. And Ender finds Denkey just alone in the box, and Denkey takes his time, calm, cool, collected finish, and puts it in the back of the net.
Do you remember that they did a series last year, I think for a few years now, where Dom Kinnear would sit down and talk about a goal, Remember that? You'd watch it on
Yeah.
YouTube and you'd see the build up and he'd talk about the tactics. Like, this is textbook counterattack. Ball's played up. Dotto holds it up on the header. First time whipped ball by Giddy through to Ender on the run. Like, doesn't miss a pace for it. You got your speedster down the line and plays the right pass. Like, how many times have you seen these guys try to go in on goal? I hate to say it, but in years past, I think some other players, not going to name them, would have probably shot it instead of passing it. But love to see the pass. I'm freaking out that Denkey doesn't shoot it right away, but what composure he has going back and looking at it again, and the little sidestep he has around the keeper, the hesitation and playing it through left-footed, mind you, through the guys to score. A guy that doesn't look like he just hit it off the post on a one-on-one with the keeper. Again,
the confidence. Yeah, the confidence to just kind of do something very similar, right? And is able to find the back of the net. But Ryan, I have an analogy that I'd like to get your take on real quick. So do you think, as of right now, do you think Ender is like the equivalent to like a Billy Hamilton?
He's got a little bit more like skillfulness. I feel like Billy was just straight like run and gun, steals, like get on base.
In the outfield, he was pretty skillful.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I could see a like for like a little bit there.
Ender hasn't really scored any goals.
He's got a lot of
Billy never hit really any home runs. I'm trying to make comparisons here for
I like it.
Cincinnati.
Hey, we're not too far off of our predictions already. One match in, I said if Ender can get, I think, 5 goals, 5 assists.
Yeah, he's
already tacked in 1. So
he's on pace.
But yeah, what a play that was. We go up 1-0 in the 80th minute. I hate that my head immediately goes to like, what's the defense gonna do? Like, are we just gonna
1-0?
I mean, didn't your head go to let's play Pat Noonan ball and see it out 1-0?
No, I think that's exactly what Laurel tweeted out. She was like, hey, glad they scored, but what's next?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? I think this is a crucial, like you said, are we going to play Noonan, or is this a new FC Cincinnati squad?
Let's credit Pat Noonan where, credit is due here. He puts in Barlow, and Barlow, I feel like, does a half decent job at pressing, creating havoc. He's a taller striker. He's about 6'2", 6'3". So 90th minute, this corner comes in. Brian Ramirez, beautiful ball, left-footed cross, and I called for it in the first half. I knew Nick Hagglund was up to something. This was Nick Hagglund's revenge game. He gets knocked out last time. We called it in the pregame or in the preview for this. Breaks his ribs, by Latte Loth. And I said, this guy's going to score. In the first half, he almost does. Second half, rises up beautifully for this header and puts it away. But I really think we have a threat this year, Sam, on set pieces. Let's talk about it for a minute. So we score from this one. Shout out to Hagglund. He does the sword pull. Can I touch on real fast that I really think that we're going to be more threatening, number one, on set pieces, but there's new tactics this year. This new refresh, it includes long throw-ins, Sam.
Yeah, I said it in the preview with Jabbari, right? Like, could this open up our center backs to be able to have more opportunities? And you saw even in the first half, right? Nick Hagglund had an opportunity to just put the header over the bar in the first half, and he's able to get something, in the back of the net here in the second half. So yeah, absolutely. It's going to probably like a changing of the guard, right? Like, hey, new era
and better service, I think, is part of that. Dotto had some maybe, not so great balls, but I love Brian Ramirez's service.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, Hagglund had a long throw. Flores had a long throw. That's going to become a thing. I really believe that might be part of this new strategy, and maybe the assistant coach has something to do with that. Or maybe they got a free piece specialist, as we were talking about, a free kick coach.
Well, Ryan, both wingbacks assists.
Yeah, love to see that. They're the key. But let's talk about the celebration. Nick Hagglund had the better sword pull of the day. I saw someone posted that. I agree. We'll talk about that later. But his celly is cool. It's number one for, a kid that asked him to do this, a child who's now cancer-free, but had, asked for Nick to do this. He's a musketeer. That's, part of it. He's pulled the sword before when he was hurt. Now he's healthy. So that was cool to see. Just being a Cincinnati guy, he gets it. So love to see that. Did you see him pat the back of Latte Loth after he scores?
Did that actually happen?
Go watch the video.
Okay. All
Those
right.
who are listening, go watch the replay.
Yeah, because I saw a photo of it and I didn't know if it was photoshopped or not.
I don't know if the guy was like, "Hey, nice header," but Hagglund's like, "Thanks, bud. Thanks for everything
the new
you did
ribs."
last year,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you kind of forced me into doing this one against you. But hey, 2-0 victory, got to be happy about it. Multi-goal victory. I mean, what are we doing this year? But some other notes that come out of this game, some kind of things that flew under the radar. I think I was texting you all match about how Almiron was just flopping around the whole first half. And that kind of played into, I think, how slow some of the half was. It was hard for us to kind of catch a groove, number one, because of the Evander injury. But number two, there's a lot of fouls called. I think at one point I looked up and it was like 18-8, for Atlanta versus us.
Yeah.
So it was hard to kind of catch a groove with that. The ref made some weird calls during this match as well. We're always used to that. And then Sam walked me through what Kenta had to say in Nick Hagglund's post-game presser.
Yeah, Nick Hagglund was quoted saying, "Hey, I'm on track for 34 goals this year." So he's not wrong, right? Like he scores a goal every game, so I thought that was a very funny quote that we had retweeted. Go check out Kenta's stuff. But Ryan, rolling into our takeaways for the match in total, I think obviously the noticeable difference was having Ender back in this group. I think he was a game changer, and then Robinson absolutely showed why he should be the starting center back for the U.S. men's national team for this World Cup window. He played lights out, and then obviously TQL lost its mind when Hagglund iced it late. I think you really saw how much the fans love Nick Hagglund and how much he loves the city and the fans as well. But yeah, all in all, way better second half control. And it's exactly kind of how we predicted, right? If FC Cincinnati is able to get goals in front of Atlanta, they should be able to control the pace of the match. And they did just that.
Yeah, and taking care of the job at home. We've seen kind of rocky performances at home the last few seasons and not getting the job done. But to start out the season this way again is huge. The thing about, Nick Hagglund and in all of this, like, it's crazy, is every time he scores, like, the guy can't find team of the match day. Like, it feels so bad. He had a great performance and still doesn't get like team of the match day bench. I felt like Miles definitely deserved it. Like, he had an unbelievable match, but for a center back to score like that and have a good game defensively and not to make it, like, he just doesn't get recognition. So,
yeah.
I had a friend that texted me about that and I wanted to shout that out because I thought that was a good take. He needs some love, but for me, takeaway wise, long throws, again, they're new, they're exciting. Felt like that was a big key. But Sam, I really want to touch on this. I tweeted it out. So go check out my take. I think you're actually going to pull up this graphic here to show us. Wingback play was huge for this team. We've talked about build up. And if you guys look on the photo on your left there, you can see the trends on how we kind of built from the back, from the goalkeeper to our left center back. All the play ran through Brian Ramirez. So I really want to kind of point that out and say, I really felt like he did a really good job connecting the attack. But if you go and look at it from that play all the way over to the right side, wingback play is huge this season. And if you look at the graphic on the right, there's so many balls that we played in behind to Ender, which I think is going to be such a huge thing for us, even if it was from the center back. Play it over the top, let Ender go, run and get it. So I really wanted to show you guys how, like, we were really attacking to that final third, with those balls behind. But the wingback play was the key. We didn't really stretch the defense on the left side last year. We didn't really have great build out, through whether it was Orishano or Engel. It kind of killed our attack. We played through Ramirez and we found the big switch over the top to Ender or the through balls through him. And I love to see that and hope to see that moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So rolling into some other stats and facts, Orange and Blue are now 7-1-2 across all competitions in the month of February all time. So February is a good start for FC Cincinnati for the most part. At least, recently.
Recently.
And then obviously you get Miles Robinson, team in the match day today. It was announced. Very cool. Wish, some other players may have been, on the bench, but happy to see Miles get credit where credit's due. But then Ryan, to me, the biggest thing that stood out to me, Kévin Denkey, 7th player in club history to score 20 goals in all competitions. And on top of that, he already ties Lucho Acosta for the most career game-winning goals in FC Cincinnati history with 11.
That's impressive. I mean, already, in 1.5 seasons, doing something that, even the GOAT, for winning the MVP, like, that's pretty impressive in that short amount of time. So, 11 career game-winning goals is crazy, and I think he's going to have, close to 20 by the end of the season, honestly. Dude's impressive. So, past that, Cincinnati unbeaten in 4 straight MLS openers. We had that as I think a trivia question last week about our total record, but last several we've been playing at home and we've had a good record, 3 wins and 1 draw there. So pretty cool to see. And then Saturday marked the 50th all-time sellout TQL. Kind of wish it, I thought it would have been more, honestly, to be honest with you. This was based on, tickets that were sold. There was some open seats here and there, but
hey, it's cold. It's cold. We get it.
Atmosphere, I think we got a shout out. Some of the U.S. men's national team people that were watching the match actually had tweeted it out. Some big time accounts saying TQL always brings it. And I think later on we'll touch on what that means as well, because some executives around the league think so too. But Pat Noonan had some post-match thoughts. Sam, what did we hear from Coach in Coach's Corner?
Yeah, so Pat Noonan, some post-match thoughts, said that the fitness and defensive pressing was really strong in this match, and he kind of liked the way the guys managed and controlled the game at the end of the match, and that was honestly solely through the midfield, right? Like the midfielders controlled that match offensively and defensively. That you saw, obviously, most of the offense came from the wingbacks, like Brian had just pointed out, but controlling the midfield is something that we really needed to start the year, and it looked really good. But I think things that stuck out as well for personnel-wise, I mean, Pat had a lot of great things to say about Brian Ramirez and Miles Robinson, both guys on the back line. He really said that, hey, Brian Ramirez he's a player. So coming from a coach, just say, hey, he's a guy, right? That means something. And so good to see him kind of getting acquainted with the squad and performing immediately, which is something that you always want to see out of him. And then Ryan, obviously, once again, Pat mentioning, hey, we're going to get, some screening done on Evander today. So hopefully maybe we'll hear some news tomorrow on that, what that looks like here in the near future.
Yeah, I think overall he was pleased, though, wouldn't you say? I mean, based on these comments and highlighting, the players, especially going from Wednesday to Saturday, different climates, obviously different competition levels there too. But I felt like Atlanta was sneaky. They could have been good on the counter. They did not have it together. Let's be honest, though. Half their attack was just balls over the top. In some ways, it was easy for our boys to pick it out. But still, nonetheless, you still have to go and do it, and they did. So definitely happy about that. But storyline, Sam, that come out of this one, if we look at it, what is our squad outlook without potentially Evander? Again, we're going to get some answers here from his scan today. It sounds like, again, this was more precautionary than hopefully long-term. But you never know with these hamstring injuries. So like we kind of alluded to, we play Minnesota next weekend. That's going to be a frigid one. All things kind of point to the way that Minnesota is right now. Is it worth playing him in the cold in Minnesota? Probably not. Is he going to play on Wednesday against O&M at home when we have a 4-0 aggregate? Probably not. So I don't know if you're going to see Evander for several matches, and that's kind of unfortunate. But again, I think we can kind of ride the tide. I hope that Dado can fill in nicely and kind of step into his spot. It's going to be big shoes, obviously, to fill, but he's kind of doing his own thing, and he doesn't need to be Evander. He just needs to get the job done in his position.
Yeah, I mean, dude, starting the year with another injury, I think Tom Bogert had said something like, man, FC Cincinnati just can't catch a break year after year, right? Like Pat Noonan having to come up with different ways to integrate the squad, and people get knocked down. Now he's got to fill it, another gap. But once again, next man up. And so hopefully, Evander kind of takes it as slow as possible. It is the beginning of the year. We have the rest of the season kind of figure that out. And like Ryan said, we've got some big games coming up, and hopefully he maybe could play, let's say, like the last 45 against Minnesota, so that way he is ready to go for Tigres potentially, midweek. That would be my only, him playing sooner. But if you want to play him just against Tigres, by all means, go ahead. But it's going to be a tough match right out of the gate.
I looked at it. It's March 12th would be the match. That's a Thursday. So
against Tigres?
We have an extra week kind of between.
Right.
So that helps a little bit. We hosted at home first, I believe, and then we would go down because they're the higher kind of seed in this as well. I want to shout out Jared Smith. I got this tweet that I saw actually on X here, or an X on X, whatever you want to call this thing. But it is kind of cool. He kind of quote tweeted Tom and said that, for still being the winningest regular season team over the past 3 seasons, he had counted 114 unique starting lineups in 136 matches, and being able to be the winningest team during that stretch. It just shows you the next man up mentality, and that everyone's got to buy into this system. And they've been able to find ways to get results. So it is impressive. To the national media, it's Evander's out. What are they going to do? He didn't show up in the playoffs, and we still kind of managed to get through at least one round. So it's not great long-term. Obviously, we're not going to say, it's a good thing, but maybe we can weather the storm a little bit with Dado and see if he can rise to the occasion. But Sam, I'm going to touch on this next point that I was going to bring up to you. I'm going to skip that one, but 2 clean sheets on the week. What do you think about the defense this year? That's my biggest question mark coming into the season.
Yeah, immediately you're looking at it going, hey, I mean, not bad, considering the rotation that you might have saw between both games. So I think that you saw what Pat was talking about in the offseason, and that these guys are fresh. These guys are in the best fitness they've been at the beginning of the season. And you saw that for sure in the back line, because especially Miles was stopping everything.
Continuity. I think that comes down to it as well. Like, you have the same guys literally back there. You didn't add a single new person in the back line. Maybe Anders Scherrell, from the last game. We'll say that was, the new person for the week, but got to be happy about it. Yeah, definitely excited for that. So we'll go to a break here, but before we do, trivia question of the week presented by Goals TV. Sam, what was the last 2-goal victory for FC Cincinnati in MLS play?
Oh boy, I'm assuming it was probably last season at some point. But are you saying just like 2-goal victory or like 2-0?
Like just 2 goals, more than 1 goal victory. 2
Okay,
victory.
That's what I just want to clarify. All right, I don't want you to twist my words or anything. Oh boy, how did we finish last season? I feel like we played somebody that, like, the last game of the season and killed them, because I remember you and I going, "Hey, we're looking pretty good going to the playoffs." Was that? Oh man, was that Atlanta? Was that Toronto? I'm trying to think of like teams that sucked. We'll go Montreal.
Okay.
Montreal.
Sam's locking it in, and we'll tell you at the end of the episode. We'll see if he was right. Hey everyone, the Flying Lion podcast is your home for FC Cincinnati coverage as a part of the Chatterbox Sports family. We're proud to be a part of a growing network of creators who are building real connections with fans across the region as the game continues to grow, and in preparation for the 2026 FIFA World Cup hosted in America.
Yeah, and if you're a local business or a brand looking to reach an audience that's passionate, loyal, and plugged into the city's sports scene, this is the place.
Partnering with us is not just supporting a podcast. You're joining a community that celebrates FC Cincinnati and various other Cincinnati sports teams as well. So reach out through our email, which is Flying Lion Pod, FLYIN Lion Pod, @gmail.com, or direct message us on social media to learn more about sponsorship and partnering options. Thanks again. Thanks again for joining us tonight. Exciting episode coming out. 2 wins to start the season. A lot of goals, 6 goals.
Yeah. Mini goals. Yeah.
Many goals, they're saying. But We'll start with our jersey swaps on a winning week here, Sam. Who was your jersey swap of the week?
Yeah, my jersey swap of the week has got to be Kévin Denkey. This is the hottest goal scorer in the MLS. If you count preseason goals, I mean, this guy has been on fire from the beginning. And you saw it continue in the Champions Cup. You saw it continue in MLS play. In back-to-back opening matches of the year, Denkey gets a goal, and then he's Mr. Consistent for FC Cincinnati, Mr. Clutch as well. Already cementing himself as one of the best players in FC Cincinnati history. Up there with Lucho as 11th career game-winning goal, like we said. So he shows up when we need him most, and that's all you can ask from a number 9. And Ryan said 20 goals to start the season, and obviously he's got one down. So 19 more to go.
Yeah, no, Denkey's a guy, man. This dude's just unbelievable, especially like for me, I'd be rattled by that miss, one-on-one with the keeper. But 13 minutes later or whatever it was, I think maybe longer than that, comes back and scores and just has the patience. Like that's a guy that just isn't fazed by much. And, he's just got this swagger about him that he's just going to score in every single match that he plays in. Would I like to see him more involved in the buildup? Yeah, absolutely. But he can come out and score and it doesn't matter. That's what he's supposed to do as a striker, and you forget about everything else. But I really think, honestly, Sam, to tell you, I think Jabbari and Barlow will kind of offload Denkey this year and give him, more of a chance to be good. Now, can we find him in better spots? That's the question. We really were asking, can we get good service to him in the box? Can we find him in ways where he can be dangerous? In this game, he had 2 good chances and he scores one of them. In future matches, he can't miss that one, and I don't think he will. So it didn't matter in the end, but he is going to have a great year for us. I really think so.
So, Ryan, who is your jersey swap of the week?
I'm going to go with Miles Robinson, a guy that I didn't shout out a lot last year, but really lived up to the DP billing this season. He's fighting for this World Cup spot, and I really think he's stepping up in a big way as the captain of the team. And that's the real question we had about Miles. But in this match, 81% for accurate passes. He had 60 touches. Important stat here, accurate long balls, he was 4 for 7. I was really hoping that one of our center backs would have some really good long balls, and he stepped up with that. 2 interceptions, 7 unbelievable recoveries, including the Latte Loth shot that he blocked and the one that he saved off of the line. He won 100% of his ground duels. Miles Robinson made team of the match day. What a stud for this week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this guy, he comes into the MLS season. It feels like he's got something to prove, right? Because June is a ways away here, and it's going to come up real quick. And so I'm sure he wants to be the first name on that center back team sheet for the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, but more importantly, just playing for the boys around him. Like I think that's what's cool. And even in his interview, he was asked about that, and he was just saying, "Look, I'm just here to play and take it one game at a time," and I love that.
Ryan, I think it's safe to say maybe Miles Robinson needs to visit that tree down in the Dominican weekly.
It's the tree of life for him, huh?
Am I wrong? I mean, he went over and touched the tree, and he said the tree was going to give him some, good vibes, good thoughts, and has the game of his life the next game. Go touch the tree.
Yeah, man. Something happened when he stepped onto that tree. Hadebe as well. Who else was in that tree? Roman? The backup
Dowd was up there.
Well. You're just going to see magical things happen with all of them for the next several matches. No, that's pretty funny. That should be like part of the card of the week. But as we transition to that, what did you have this week?
Yeah, I'm going to do a half and a half. So my card of the week is kind of Inter Miami twofold. First off, you get Messi going after the refs. You see this video kind of circulating, and immediately you see him, go after the ref into, that little tunnel area as they're going up to their changing room. However, reports come out and say that he never entered the changing room. He didn't do anything wrong. I would beg to disagree, but that is just because that, we have felt the repercussions of, a Mr. Matt Miazga in the playoffs being suspended 3 matches for doing something very similar. So him not getting a single suspension is kind of, once again, one of those things of, Oh, he can grab the back of a ref's neck. Oh, he can, keep shoving these refs in front of everybody, and we're going to turn a blind eye. So that was one thing. And then the other thing, Falcone, right, for Inter Miami, on the pitch in the middle of the game, is talking to Son and saying, "Hey, like, let me get that jersey." I'm pretty sure while they're lining up for a corner kick. Am I not mistaken? Right?
Yeah, and they were down 2-0 at the time.
Yeah, and they were down 2-0 at the time, and he's asking for the jersey, right? I think who's the chick off of Apple TV?
Kaylin Kyle.
Yeah, Ryan texted me. He was like, "Hey, I'm waiting for Kaylin Kyle to come out with another, video about this, similar to what she said about Hadebe, right? Like swapping jerseys with Messi." Obviously Inter Miami, they lost this week. It felt good. LAFC is a good team, and yeah, we'll see if Messi ever gets his due.
Sam, well, how could you be mad about a player just going through an open door? What's behind the open door? If you guys go and watch these videos, first off, he follows the ref into the tunnel and says they need to have more respect for him. That's a little ridiculous. If that's what the translation had come out to, basically, and said it was ridiculous and that he wasn't getting any calls. Okay, dude. Number one, you can't follow the ref like that, and yell at him. I mean, that's a red card. Then follows him through the hallway and has to be held back by Luis Suarez, the voice of reason in this situation, which is insane. But you can't tell me that there wasn't intent to go and argue or
no. Yeah, at the very least, I told you, like, give him 1-2 games because he's harassing the refs.
You can't after the match follow them and berate them the whole way. But of course the refs are going to say, well, he didn't do anything bad. Oh, he didn't bother us. Oh, he didn't enter into it. But he went into the hallway. And what's in the hallway, Sam? What's at the end of the door? I mean, there's intent there.
No, yeah, I know.
So there's a little bit of gray nature to this. There's some bad takes out there about how the media person shouldn't be taking videos. How many times have we seen in the NFL, the tunnel clips there in abusing credentials and this and that? It's just
you're asking a journalist not to do their job.
100%. And tell me how, we wouldn't have wanted. We wanted the clips for Miazga. This guy just provided context to what was going on. He didn't follow them into the hallway. That would have probably, solved everything. But all we can, deal with is what the reporting has come out about this. I just think how there's a double standard with some of this. Intent was there. At minimum, they need to be like, look, you can't harass the referee like you did in this situation. Even if he didn't enter the room. Okay. But it is kind of ridiculous what went down. The jersey swap thing, this happens a lot, actually. I think a lot of players talk about at the end of the match, we're in a swap. Can I get a jersey?
It's funny that they caught it. They caught it on camera.
They're being destroyed in this match.
Yeah.
And he's middle of the match. Like, can we do this? So to Kaylin Kyle's point, you're FC Cincinnati, you just got beat 4-0 at home and you want to swap jerseys. Like, the same thing just happened here.
Yeah. 100%. So we'll get off our soapbox and maybe Ryan will get up on another one, maybe slightly less high as the other one, but
let him cook.
Yeah. What was your card of the week, though?
Yeah, Sam, I was disappointed. Unfortunately, my card of the week is that the pregame rituals we had were great and they lacked this first match. Tifo, great. Atmosphere, great. Why are we putting the sword pole at midfield? Do it in front of the Bailey. That's where the supporters get up and want to, follow you pulling the sword, not in front of, the pitch view where people are still inside because it's cold. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, Sean Clifford, great job. Loved it, man. Like, you did a really good job at the sword pull, then had to walk all the way down the pitch in front of the Bailey. Put it at the top of the 18. Like, that's where it belongs, in front of your supporters there, in front of the Bailey. So hopefully that gets changed. I don't know why it was switched. The other thing was kind of hilarious. There is a Castle Commander now. Don't know what that's about. Some guy comes on the mic before the match and says, lock in Cincy, a FC Cincinnati supporter. They're just trying to get more people involved. I get it. What is a Castle Commander? What are we doing with that?
It's how it is framed to me as kind of like the play ball kid.
Lock in, Cincy.
Exactly. Like to kick off the game, lock in, right? Like, but
he does it. So they had the guys stand in the corner where we warm up, not even anywhere on the field.
So if I'm hearing you, this is a grown man.
Yes, a FC Cincinnati supporter they honored.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna do something like this, like,
let it be a kid.
Make it cute, make it a kid, right? So that way, people like us don't come after that, pregame stuff.
I just hope it gets changed. Like, don't change our rituals. Like,
it's the name also does it. Like,
I get that the sword pull, like, they want it to be in front of the whole crowd and like, center pitch, like everyone to see, but the photos of the guys pulling the sword with the Bailey in the background and like getting them pumped up, that's the important thing. Like, they don't need to be pumped up, obviously, but it just lacked a little bit. I'm like, well, why are we doing it there? That's my take. Didn't like it.
Fair enough. But rolling on to some other news, Ryan. This was, I think, maybe day before the O&M game, maybe Tuesday after we got done with preview stuff. Laura actually reported that FC Cincinnati is finalizing a new deal for Evan Loro. And so Laura obviously has stepped up when called upon and proved he's definitely more than a depth piece. With FC Cincinnati, can be slotted in as that number one keeper at any time. And so his option was picked up for the 26 season. So it's already been exercised. So they're working on, a new, probably, I would say probably 2-3 year extension, probably to some degree. So happy to hopefully see that come to fruition here soon.
Yeah, Leroux just been solid. A lot of people calling for him to start. Celentano shut that up a little bit. He had a great match in the first one. Just going to say that. Roman had some good saves. I mean, through traffic on one, another one that he put wide, like, didn't feel like his distribution was bad or noticeable in this one. So that's always a good thing. But played lights out, did what he needed to do. So good to see. Glad to have these guys stand. That's the biggest thing for me. But we sneaked this a little bit earlier on in the episode. The MLS executives, there was a poll that went out via The Athletic, and of note, number one here, we were mentioned, TQL, as having the best stadium in the MLS. We all know that. Yeah, we all know that. Don't change our rituals in this nice stadium. But yeah, that's pretty sick. Everyone around the league understands, like, this is the real deal. You saw the UC football players came in and loved it. They're going to be hosting, a football match there, a real American football match. UC is going to play Miami in the fall, so that'll be good. But among some of the other things, we had a few other players that were kind of mentioned in this, Sam.
Yeah, so the first one I thought was really funny. Who's the best player other than Son and Messi in the league? And so Evander got some shouts. Best defender in the MLS, Miles Robinson, I think, got the second most votes there. Best attacker, once again, Evander up there as well. And then the next, MLS player to make a big move, outside the league, Evander was also on that list, which is interesting, right? One of the top coaches in the MLS, Pat Noonan's name was mentioned. Most underrated coach as well for Pat Noonan. And then you get more of the front office highlights. So Chris Albright looks to be one of the best, chief soccer operations people. And then his number twos or number threes, even underneath him, right, are possibly the best number twos to become a chief soccer operations person. So most desirable club as well. FC Cincinnati 4. If Chris Albright were to move on, we would be a desired location. So yeah, obviously best training ground with Mercy Health.
Sam, a lot of different things. The best.
Yeah, we're the best. We're mentioned in almost everything.
We the best.
At least one vote in about 80% of it. But yeah,
it shows the league knows.
Yeah, league knows. League knows. The press doesn't really give us that much credit, but
not a huge market, right? I think that's always what we're going to be fighting. But for the MLS and people around the MLS in big time positions,
people who know ball, people that know
that ball, they know. Sam, I want to kind of highlight this big MLS opening weekend we had. We saw Nashville.
Fantastic.
High-flying win that they had. They're going to be a problem in the East this year. The Crew dropped their opener in Portland. We're heartbroken about that one. Kind of funny to see that happen for them. And then LAFC, like we touched on, dominate Inter Miami 3-0. So it's going to be a fun season. I'm really jazzed.
What they say, best attendance record, right, in the MLS history for this first week. So, I mean, keep it going. I thought this first weekend, like you said, now that football's over, baseball hasn't quite started. The NBA is kind of on a downhill spiral. If you've been reading headlines, college basketball, not terrible, right? I'll watch some college basketball, but hey, MLS is back, baby. Let's get into it.
I'm pumped. Part of FC Cincinnati 2 news here as we kind of roll along. Sam, real quickly, kind of walk us through some new signings that we heard over the past week. We got a new assistant coach as well. A lot of things happening with that 2 team. They're going to be starting their season in March, so they're kind of in preparation, for that. But getting a lot of new guys in.
Yeah, just happy to see names, coming in and filling the roster out. So obviously the big headline here is our MLS Super Draft pick, Ayoub Jabbari. He joined FC Cincinnati in Clearwater, played in 4 out of the 5 matches with the first team. And then so he signs an official deal with FCC2. And then you get defender Sammy Lachekar, I think. Lachekar, maybe. I don't know. 23 years old, joins the Orange and Blue. He just got done with a 4-year collegiate career at UNC Greensboro. So his first professional gig after college. And then you get midfielder Nathan Gray, 18 years old, looks promising. Joins after a 3-season run with a USL League One squad in the Charlotte Independence. So he's got some professional experience even from the days of being like 15 years old. So should be fun to watch his trajectory, see what he can do at the MLS Next Pro level. And then lastly, forward Charles Holmes, 22 years old. Once again,
Charlie Holmes.
Charlie. Did I say Charles?
You did say Charles.
All right. Well, his friends call him Charles. Charlie Holmes, 22 years old, spent a 4-year collegiate career split between Connecticut and Bucknell University. So you get 2 guys there fresh out of college, first professional gigs for them. And then, like Ryan said, FCC2 signs an assistant coach next to Castellanos, Anthony Wallace. He actually coming from the St. Louis Academy. And get this, Sammy Castellanos and him were former teammates at the University of South Florida. So he also has some experience playing in the MLS, mainly for New York Red Bulls, Colorado Rapids, I believe. So cool little pedigree and some signings for us to FCC2.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Definitely excited for their season. Like I mentioned, they start in March. So March 1st, they're actually going to be playing their first match, 6 p.m. They're going to be playing, I believe, CTU. Trying to see exactly who CTU is because I'm not familiar. I think it's Connecticut United.
Yeah, Connecticut. It's the brand new team.
Yeah, so Connecticut United is the new one up there. They're going to have a lot of snow. This game, I think, is going to be in northern Kentucky, though, but a lot of snow going on in Connecticut right now for them. So who knows? Hopefully their preseason has been indoors, for their team. But as we move along, we do have some match previews. Again, it's going to be a double week match day, if you want to call it that. So Champions Cup on Wednesday, O&M FC, we come in with a 4-0 aggregate lead. TQL Stadium, I believe it's going to be like a 7 p.m. start roughly. I think, if I look back to last year, Sam, we handed Motagua a very similar result in the first leg. Coming into the second leg, we actually did have some decent guys that were starting for that one. Situations were very different. Last season, a lot of guys unfamiliar, a lot of questions about where people would play, who would start, who would not. We actually played Evander, Denkey, Buka, and Miles Robinson in the second leg against Motagua at home. I don't think that's going to happen this season for the same players. Personally, I think they've learned from last season. We actually ended up tying that match against Motagua, but advanced on aggregate. So we can still advance even with a draw. So don't be worried if that happens, or even a loss potentially. But O&M is not a fierce competition. Let's just say I think we'll be okay. But we could see some short-term loans that come in potentially from the second team, like we saw, I believe, with Dowd. We saw that with Andre Shirilla. I have a predicted lineup here. Sam, do you want to shout out yours before I do mine?
No, go ahead.
I have. I think Leroux is going to start. I think Kyle Smith. I really think that Flores, and then I actually do think Miazga might get some minutes in this one to start. He's going to anchor the midfield just to kind of give him a little bit of some, real match action. Alvis Powell is our other center back, and then I think Ender would be a good shout to get him into some real matches too, because if we travel to other places, he's not going to be able to play. He didn't play in the one last Wednesday, so I could see him starting out wide, playing, maybe 45 minutes. The center of Anunga and Jimenez with Dado above them, just to, again, keep Dado rolling. Barlow and Mamba Dem as my strikers.
Dang, fully rotated for you on that one.
Yeah, Ender, right? Ender and, Miazga, if you want to call him, but he's not going to start for a minute.
Yeah,
probably.
wow. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be that rotated to start out with. Maybe
4-0 up. Why?
Fresh legs to get him ready for Minnesota, right? I mean, at least
Wednesday to Saturday,
some minute. I understand your why. I'm with you. I think once again, you're telling players that usually start to not start, right? Like, these are guys that are hungry to just play. They want to play ball, right? Like, I think Buka, he didn't get the start in the first Champions Cup game. I think you see him get the start in this one. And so maybe Pat rotates the squad like that, right? Where maybe it's Giddey and Buka, and then in the back half, it's Anunga and Obi, kind of like it was, for Champions Cup. So maybe it's just flipped. But yeah, I don't know if Miazga gets the start. Might be too early to call on that one. Maybe Hagglund in the middle on that one if Robinson isn't going to start. But once again, Miles is coming off a great game, so you kind of want to keep the confidence up on that one too. I just think there won't be as much rotation as you have here, but I do think obviously second half we'll get some major subs probably.
Yeah, I respect the take. I think early on in the season we already saw what happened with Evander. Like, why press people when it's 20 degrees outside? We're already going to be going and playing in Minnesota. Maybe that's a reason why you play them and you get them used to some of that too. I don't know. But if they get too tight and then they play a game and it's been a week of real game competition, and that creates a problem too. Whichever way they want to look at it, but just looking at the past, like it appears that they did play some starters last season in that second leg. So we'll see what happens. I think for me, a 2-0 victory at home would be a pretty sound, move on to the next round. Just take care of the opponent in front of you and then deal with what's later, because I'll touch on it here in a minute, the situation going on.
Yeah, I think 3-1 for me is the prediction. I think, offense, I think Dado maybe gets a goal in this one to some degree. And then maybe we'll get some more headers. I like the header goals that, Hagglund gets. Maybe we'll continue a run of that.
Yeah, I like it. Both, in the winning column for this one, keep it rolling on in the season. The situation, though, again, if we win and when we win, hopefully here, move on. I had mentioned we play March 12th potentially against Tigres. It would be at home, Cincinnati. Following week, I think it would be the 19th, would be down in Monterrey. Well, Mexico's a little scary right now. I was down there, just recent here, but it's a scary situation, and I don't know what that will look like, obviously here in a few weeks for the team. If it stays the way it is, we might see this postponed for a bit. And then how does that affect our schedule, moving forward? We can only control what we can control. So, but how does that impact decision making?
That not only
Evander back, or who do we play and not play? That makes a difference.
Well, so the other thing too is it not only affects FC Cincinnati, it affects the other teams that are potentially playing down in Mexico as well, right? Yeah. The other Liga MX teams that
we've seen matches postponed.
Exactly. So does that mean that the games that are not being played down in Mexico, right? Let's say it's 2 MLS matchups. Like, are they free to play, right? Or how does that work? Because then you have teams that are behind and teams that are ahead. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, it's something that the world is monitoring right now. It's deeper than soccer, so we'll see as we go along the next couple of weeks in Champions Cup. But Ryan, MLS Matchday number 2 already here this weekend. Minnesota United FC against FC Cincinnati. We're going up to the Great White North. It's going to be a frigid one. I mean, this team. Honestly, I think if you look at last year for Minnesota, I think they surprised a lot of people. I think, they lost a lot of players and believe new coach right at that time.
Eric Ramsey just left preseason.
Just left, but new coach right last season. And I think they surprised a lot of people. They made the playoffs. And this year they start out with a tie 2-2 against Austin FC. But Ryan, what are your thoughts on, what is to come from Minnesota?
Yeah, interesting team. Last year, a pretty boring team if you guys followed them. Ramsey, a very defensive guy, played a lot of sit back and counterattack ball, but they were successful. They played their roles to a T. It wasn't always a fun thing for their team to do, but like Sam mentioned, they lost a lot of key players. They did add a pretty large one, if you haven't heard of James Rodriguez coming into the squad. He did not play in their match against Austin, but I look for him to probably make his premiere, whether, starting or as a sub, yet to be seen. We'll see what his fitness looks like, but I think you could see him feature. That's going to be a big boost to their squad. He is a little bit older. He had pretty decent, run at it down with Club Leon down in Mexico prior to coming to Minnesota. But, what a huge name in the MLS. We've talked about it with Fabian Renko a little bit too and his impact. But, they just tied Austin, away. We actually had never played. This is kind of interesting, Sam. Never played Minnesota at TQL. Thought that was fascinating. We last played them in Minnesota back in September of 24. A little bit different of a climate back then in September of 24 versus what we're going to be playing this weekend. It's going to be pretty cold. How's that affect the squad? Who do we roll out with that? And what does the game kind of look like because of that? Yet to be seen, obviously. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, as of right now, I looked up the weather forecast. Obviously, it's Saturday, so it's still a ways away. But it's going to be 26 degrees on Saturday up in Minnesota. I'm sure that looks like there's going to be like maybe 10-mile-per-hour winds, right? So it could be down to, let's say, drops 5-10 degrees lower than that. And then in the morning, as of right now, it could change. But as of right now, there's a 40% chance of snow in the morning.
Orange ball coming out?
Orange ball might be coming out if that sticks around the rest of the day. FC Cincinnati does play at 4:30 against them, so we will see. But yeah, as far as Minnesota goes, you mentioned the big name in James Rodriguez, and he did not play against Austin FC. He didn't travel actually with the squad because he's being eased into training. So it looks like from everything that we're reading is that he will join Minnesota kind of full training sessions this week, and hopefully he'll be available because you want to play teams at their best. And playing against a guy like James Rodriguez, I think would be really cool as well for some of our Latin American players to play against probably an idol of theirs. But yeah, it'll be a cold one, Ryan. It's going to be so cold up there.
Yeah, I hope that we can still play a attractive style of soccer and that it's just not, slushed around or, depending on snow or even wind. How does that affect us, in the way that we play? But it's a nice stadium up there. The Allianz is pretty cool. If you guys ever get a chance to go up there, nice stadium.
Was that 2 years ago, All-Star game, 3 years ago?
3, I think.
3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had Eric on. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So cool place to be. I think for us, we line up very similar to our first match against Atlanta. Question for you. Are you going to go with Giddy again or are you going to go with Obi?
It's a great question. I think based off of what you see from the Champions Cup match, I think maybe you go Obi on this one.
I think so too.
I just think it seems to be like you're playing away. You need more of that defense. Not that Giddey doesn't bring it, but OB is more of your shutdown, and he's going to stop anything going past. So I would kind of lean more towards OB, at least in the Minnesota match.
Probably like experience wise too. He's definitely had that and been in the league for a while, been around the squad. I felt like Giddey, like I struggled with him on Saturday. He had a decent match. There's times where he gave some balls away that I felt like he should.
You saw that in the playoffs too.
Yeah. He made up with it though, with beautiful through ball to Ender, and then that kind of shut me up a little bit there about how he played. But I still feel like his positioning could be a little bit better. There's times where Buka and him are both up a little bit more, and it leaves space behind and right in front of the defense. So on the road with what we've seen, I think maybe Obi is not a bad shout in this one. Everyone else, would you agree, pretty much going to be hopefully the same?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
Obviously, with Evander out, you put Dotto in, and you kind of you keep rolling like normal.
Yeah, I think the boys are buzzing. They're feeling good about this. For me, a 2-1 victory on the road would be pretty solid. It's going to be kind of a grind out result just because of the weather, I think. But they're going to pull away. I really feel like the collective squad has been pretty solid to start this season, and we'll see what they look like on the road. They've been dominant on the road the past 2 seasons. I mean, tied for the most amount of wins ever in MLS history for each collective season. So been pretty special to see them. Let's see if that can continue.
Yeah, I think it'll be like you said, it's gonna be a very tough match. I even have like 0-0, 0-0 draw in this one. I could potentially be seeing. I mean, like you said, maybe the weather plays a big factor in that. Ball doesn't move as much, maybe. But at the same time, like you said, the offense is on a heater right now. So I could see FC Cincinnati putting 1 or 2 on Minnesota. But yeah, I just think maybe a draw out of this one. Once again, you'll take a point on the road any day of the week.
Yeah, no, and that's what you want. You want to win, Champions Cup. You want to go and do what you can in the MLS and stay towards that top of the leaderboard there in the tables. I think last season, a little bit rocky as we were kind of managing Champions Cup. So we'll see how Pat manages this one, as we were talking about, going from Wednesday to Saturday again. But it's not terribly far of a travel. Minnesota's a little bit up there. They'll probably, have a nice flight up there and get there maybe a little bit early and check out the city. But I'm excited for it. It'll be on my birthday. I'm hoping that we can pull, a win off for that one as well. But as we close out here, Sam, I'm going to give you our trivia question here and answer. Trivia question of the week, again, presented by Goals TV. When was the last 2-goal victory for FC Cincinnati in MLS play? Sam had locked in Montreal, and he was correct. We had a 3-0 victory at the end of last season against Montreal. You nailed it. I'm wondering if you kind of sneaked a peek about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Anytime I get something right, it's like, oh, he must have cheated, right? But when Ryan gets it, it's like, oh, dude's a genius. Of course he knows, right? He knows ball.
No, it was October 18th. So I wanted to highlight this because, there's all this talk about winning by multi goals, and 2-goal victories or more. So October wasn't that far actually, but Montreal also is horrible. Prior to that one in October, the last multi-goal one was actually Inter Miami back in July, which was a 3-0 victory there. Wow. I wanted to touch on this. I almost said it earlier. Of 45 matches we had last season, Sam, only 5 games did we win by multi-goals out of 45 last season. And that included Champions Cup.
No,
we already have 2.
Yeah, that's the old FC Cincinnati, Ryan.
This is 2026, boys. We are ready. We're here for it. 2 wins on the week. What a solid week for FCC. Hopefully another 2 wins next week. Thanks again for joining us tonight. We'll see you guys next time.